Right before you leave the house, you probably kneel down, hug your dog, and sweetly tell them to be good. But canine neurobiology reveals a heartbreaking truth. Your emotional human goodbye is the exact trigger for their separation anxiety. You are not comforting them, you are accidentally signaling that something terrible is about to happen. By the end of this video, you will discover a simple 30-second biological ritual that instantly sedates your dog's nervous system before you step out the door. Make sure you stay to learn the exact sequence of this ritual, because performing step number 2 incorrectly will actually spike their adrenaline and shatter their trust in you completely. We are going to replace your emotional apology with a precise, science-backed 30-second ritual. Let us begin immediately with the first action you must take. Step 1. The Silent Psychological Handshake. Here is exactly what most well-meaning but fundamentally misunderstood owners do wrong. Right before leaving for work, they look at the clock, realize they are late, and their internal energy drastically spikes. Their heart rate accelerates. They start rushing around the kitchen aggressively, grabbing their keys and stomping into their shoes. Then, utterly consumed by last-minute guilt, they suddenly crouch down to the dog's level. Using a fast, high-pitched, excited baby voice, they frantically pet the dog's head while saying that they are so sorry and will be right back. To understand why this is so devastating, I want you to participate in a quick, highly revealing mental exercise. Imagine you are sitting quietly at your desk at work, feeling perfectly fine and completely relaxed. Suddenly, your boss bursts into the room with wide eyes. They grab you forcefully by the shoulders, speak a mile a minute in a panicked, high-pitched tone about how much they are going to miss you, and then they instantly sprint out the door, slamming it aggressively behind them. You would be absolutely terrified. You would assume a catastrophic crisis was happening in the building. Your adrenaline would skyrocket, and you would be physically unable to sit back down and relax. That is exactly the physiological state you are forcing onto your dog. In dog psychology, projecting high chaotic energy right before a physical separation creates a massive emotional crash. You push their nervous system to the absolute peak of emotional arousal, flooding their brain with adrenaline, and then you slam the door in their face. You leave them entirely alone in a silent house with absolutely no physical or mental way to burn off that massive chemical spike. Instead of the frantic goodbye, you must master what behavioral scientists call the silent connection ritual. Think of this as a quiet, deeply reassuring psychological handshake that explicitly tells your dog's nervous system that nothing bad is happening today, and they are entirely safe. As you prepare to leave, stop moving entirely. Force your own feet to plant firmly into the ground. Take a deep breath to physically lower your own human heart rate, because your dog can literally smell the chemical changes in your sweat when you are rushing. Stand near your dog, visibly soften your facial muscles, drop your shoulders, and make incredibly gentle, relaxed eye contact for exactly 10 to 15 seconds. Do not stare intensely. Keep your eyelids heavy and half closed. Let them visually and chemically read your completely resting baseline. Then, and this is the vital biological trigger, you must break the eye contact first. Casually look away. Blink slowly and smoothly. Turn your body away from them. In the complex canine world, breaking eye contact first and turning away calmly is the ultimate biological signal of peace. It says the territory is secure, everything is normal, and there is absolutely nothing for you to worry about. Step 2. Releasing the hidden tension zones. We have now reached the step that I warned you about at the beginning of this video. This is the exact moment where you physically interact with your dog right before leaving, and if you perform this step incorrectly, you will actively destroy their sense of safety and trigger a massive panic attack. Most owners assume that a quick, heavy pat on the head or a rigorous, fast-paced scratch behind the ears equals physical comfort. But a highly anxious dog stores immense, crippling physical tension in very specific, highly forgotten anatomical zones of their body. Just like human beings carry our stress heavily in our neck and our shoulders, dogs carry their psychological dread in their extremities, primarily in the highly sensitive, delicate webbing between their toes and deep in the dense muscle area where their front legs directly meet their chest. When their physical body stays rigid and tense, their brain receives a constant biofeedback loop confirming that they are in danger. Their nervous system stays locked on high alert. You absolutely need to release this physical tension before you walk out the door. But here is the critical, potentially disastrous mistake if you rush this physical contact. If you reach down quickly and grab their paw with fast, nervous, darting energy, because you're in a hurry to get to the office, you will accidentally trigger a primal predator restraint reflex. To a dog's ancient brain, a fast, firm, unexpected grip on their vulnerable legs feels exactly like the jaws of a trap. If you trap them and restrict their movement right before you abandon them in an empty house, you completely shatter their trust in you. They will rapidly learn to view your morning departure sequence not just as a lonely event, but as a direct physical threat to their survival. To execute this step properly, you must move your hands like molasses. You must be painfully, deliberately slow. Spend just 15 to 30 seconds using impossibly slow, impossibly gentle circular strokes on their deep chest muscles, or softly massaging the delicate webbing of their paws with just your thumb and index finger. There is a remarkable story of a rescue dog named Cooper that highlights the sheer power of this specific touch. Cooper suffered from such severe separation anxiety that he would chew his own paws raw and bloody every single time his owner left for work. His loving owner always tried to pet him affectionately before leaving, but it was always fast, frantic, guilty petting. Her fast hands only wound his nervous system up tighter. The day she learned about hidden tension zones, she changed her physical touch to a painfully slow, heavy, gentle chest massage. Everything shifted. Her slow, rhythmic hands acted like a biological metronome, physically forcing Cooper's racing heart to match her calm, steady rhythm. He stopped chewing his paws that very same week. Think of this step exactly like untying a tight, painful knot in your own shoulders. The goal is absolutely not to hype them up. The goal is deep physical and psychological release. Step 3. The boring exit strategy. You have successfully given them a calm, silent connection. You have manually released their physical tension. Now you actually have to execute the hardest part, walking out the door. And this is exactly where the vast majority of deeply loving dog owners violently sabotage all of their hard work. They do what behaviorists call the Hollywood exit. They kneel down dramatically by the front door, give their dog a suffocatingly tight hug, whisper a tragic, drawn-out speech about how much they will miss them, and they keep looking back mournfully through the living room window as they slowly walk down the driveway. To understand why this is so damaging, we have to look at the agonizing, suffocating wave of human guilt. You lock the front door, you walk heavily toward your car, and before you even start the engine, you hear the frantic scratching at the window glass or the heartbreaking howl coming from inside the living room. You spend money on expensive puzzle toys, you leave the lights on, and you buy the softest beds on the market. But despite your endless love, their nervous system still flips into absolute chaos. Why does this happen? Because right before you leave, you're operating entirely on human guilt, and your dog is operating on primal survival. To a domestic dog, the pack splitting up is inherently an unnatural, biologically dangerous event. In the wild, there is safety only in numbers. When you try to soothe their anxiety with a big, dramatic, highly emotional goodbye, you are speaking the entirely wrong language. Human beings use emotional farewells to show how much we care. We hug, we cry, we promise to return. But in the ancient psychology of the wolf pack, the genetic ancestors of the dog sleeping on your couch. Right now, the leader of the pack never makes a scene before leaving the den to go hunt. They simply get up and they leave. If a pack leader suddenly displayed highly frantic emotional and apologetic energy right before leaving, the rest of the pack would instantly assume that a deadly predator was nearby or that the environment was no longer safe. By showering your dog with emotional apologies right before you grab your car keys, you are biologically convincing them that you are walking out into a war zone. Dogs perfectly mirror your internal energy. If you act like stepping out the front door is a high-stakes, tragic emotional event, your dog's primal brain instantly assumes that the outside world is dangerous, that a threat is looming, and that you might not survive the journey. They are not just sad you are leaving, they are genuinely terrified for your life. Animal behavior experts endlessly emphasize that predictable, incredibly boring exits drastically reduce emotional spikes. Think of the lighting system inside a movie theater. If the theater management suddenly cuts the power to pitch black without any warning, the audience panics. The contrast is too violent, but if they slowly, predictably, and smoothly dim the lights over the course of a full minute, your human brain easily and calmly adjusts to the changing environment. When you give a massive emotional goodbye and then shut the door, you're giving your dog a contrast hangover. They go from receiving 100% of your intense emotional attention to absolute zero in a split second. You must make your last 2 minutes at home incredibly, almost painfully boring. There should be absolutely no dramatic cuddle sessions on the floor. There should be no long apologetic speeches. Right before you step out, do not even use their name, because hearing their name spikes their attention. Instead, drop the pitch of your voice, do not look them in the eyes, and say one simple, low-toned, highly predictable line, such as, "See you later." Then walk out the door. Do not pause with your hand on the doorknob. Do not turn around for one last look. Do not wave through the glass. Be as boring, uninteresting, and routine as humanly possible. By acting completely unbothered by your departure, you are telling their nervous system that leaving the house is the most natural, safe, and mundane event in the world. Step 4. The Olfactory Security Anchor. Now that you have successfully left the house without triggering a panic response, we must aggressively address the physical environment you have left them in. Here is a profoundly powerful biological step that almost every neat, organized, and tidy owner completely ignores, to the severe detriment of their dog. Many people make it a strict habit to clean their house right before they leave for work. They spray chemical air fresheners, they wipe down the kitchen counters, they run the vacuum, and they leave the home smelling perfectly sterile, fresh, and completely devoid of human life. But for a dog, your specific human scent is not just a nice, comforting smell. It is critical, life-saving survival information. You must remember that a dog's olfactory bulb is exponentially more powerful than ours. To their primal brain, your deeply embedded biological scent acts as an invisible tether. It signals that their person exists in this space, their pack leader was just here, and they are entirely safe in this territory. Furthermore, dogs actually use scent to tell time. As your scent slowly decays and fades in the air throughout the day, they use that fading concentration to gauge exactly how long you have been gone and when you are likely to return. If you scrub the house clean, you erase their biological clock and their safety net. Studies specifically focusing on separation-related distress prove that having direct, unhindered access to a highly concentrated, intensely familiar owner scent acts as a profound biological anchor. Think of a nervous human toddler being dropped off at a strange, chaotic new daycare center. If that toddler is tightly clutching their favorite unwashed security blanket from home, the scary world around them does not magically change, but their internal nervous system feels a massive, impenetrable shield of safety. Before you leave the house tomorrow, take a recently worn, highly unwashed piece of clothing, a shirt you slept in, or a sweatshirt you wore to the gym. Place this item directly in your dog's absolute favorite sleeping spot, or right inside their crate. Do not fold it perfectly. Leave it heavily crumpled so your scent pools and becomes trapped within the folds of the fabric. This step is undeniably vital for highly traumatized rescue dogs. By leaving this heavily scented item behind, you are leaving an invisible chemical security guard that physically connects them to you while you are entirely unreachable. The scent tells their brain that the pack is still whole. Step 5. The Acoustic Shield. This final step addresses the absolute most overlooked silently destructive anxiety trigger in the modern home. Most loving owners recognize that total dead silence can be highly unnerving for a dog left alone. Without you there to make natural house noises, the silence becomes deafening, and every single creak of the floorboards is magnified. So to fix this, owners assume that any background noise will solve the problem. They leave the living room television loudly playing a random channel, or they blast a high-energy radio station, assuming the human voices will trick the dog into feeling accompanied. This is a disastrous, highly toxic biological mistake. Random television channels feature incredibly sudden screaming commercials. They feature aggressive movie trailers with loud explosions, shouting voices, and high-pitched police sirens. Modern audio is mixed with a massive dynamic range, meaning it goes from quiet whispers to deafening roars in seconds. To a dog sleeping alone in an empty house, these sudden, unpredictable volume changes are terrifying jump scares. If your dog startles hard from a sudden explosion on the television while you are gone, their heart rate spikes. Because you are not there to verbally assure them that the noise is fake, they can easily and rapidly spiral into a full-blown panic attack. They are left to physically de-escalate their own adrenaline, which many anxious dogs simply cannot do. Instead of random noise, you need to deliberately provide what behavioral scientists call emotional air conditioning. You cannot control the terrifying outside world. You cannot control the loud garbage truck slamming bins on the street or the neighbor's dog barking aggressively through the fence. But you absolutely can control the acoustic atmosphere inside your own home. Exactly 5 minutes before you begin your boring exit strategy, put on a dedicated, highly predictable soundscape. Exhaustive research into canine auditory processing suggests that consistent low-intensity sounds actively support canine emotional regulation. The Scottish SPCA conducted a massive study on kennel dogs and found that playing specific genres of music, namely soft classical arrangements, drastically lowered the dog's heart rates and decreased stress behaviors like pacing and whining. You can use a dedicated canine calming playlist, continuous deep brown noise, or a gentle unbroken nature soundscape. Set it at a steady low, conversational volume. Do not set it too loud. This predictable audio track acts as a sonic shield. It absorbs blurs and masks the terrifying, unpredictable sharp noises coming from the outside street. It creates a completely stable acoustic environment where your dog's brain does not have to actively listen for predators or threats. It signals to their nervous system that it is officially time to power down and rest. If you implement this precise 30-second biological ritual, combining the Silent Psychological Handshake, the slow release of hidden tension zones, the entirely boring exit strategy, the Olfactory Security Anchor, and the Acoustic Shield, you are doing so much more than just preventing a chewed-up couch cushion or avoiding a noise complaint. You are fundamentally, permanently changing the way your dog experiences the world around them. You are actively stepping out of your human ego, and you are choosing to speak a language of absolute safety that is written directly into their ancient biology. You are actively teaching their nervous system that the sound of the front door closing is not a catastrophic signal for danger, abandonment, or fear. You are teaching them that being left alone simply means it is a peaceful, uninterrupted time to rest and recharge. And over time, as you repeat this exact ritual day after day, that consistency removes their panic entirely. It replaces their fear with real, unshakable, unbreakable trust. Now, I want you to make a tangible commitment to your best friend. Go down to the comments section right now. Tell me your dog's beautiful name and tell me exactly which of these 5 specific steps you're going to try tomorrow morning before you leave for work. Let us fill the comment section with the names of the deeply loved dogs we share our lives with and the concrete scientific actions we are actively taking to give them the profound peace of mind they so desperately deserve.